Hey, this is Dana. I just wanted to share with you about Master Book's Language Arts curriculum. It's called Language Lessons for a Living Education, and I have homeschooled for 6 years now, and I've used the Language Lessons for Living Education from first grade all the way up through ninth grade so far at different times in life. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the curriculum and about maybe some pros and cons, and let you see a little bit of what a daily schedule might look like. Let's start out with the elementary curriculum. And at the beginning of the book, they help you understand a little bit about this course, how to use it, maybe how much time it might take your child. There's also a daily schedule where you can keep track of grades if you want to, or just completion. Now let's take a look at maybe what a normal week would look like with this curriculum. On Monday, or the first day of the week that you start homeschooling, there's usually some kind of reading passage, a poem, a picture study, something like that. In the language lessons, there's a continuing story every few weeks about children and their Sunday school teacher and different things they are learning. And they go through different feasts and holidays in the Jewish calendar, which is really good because sometimes we don't know a lot about those things, but they are a picture of things to come, especially a picture of Jesus and his sacrifice. They have highlighted areas where the student can read and then the parent can read, so they're going back and forth a little bit. There's questions to ask about reading comprehension. And then another comprehension activity to go along with that. The second day is usually some type of grammar rules, grammar practice. And it's usually a front and a back page each day, but not always. We also have punctuation practice. Day 4 is a time where they do reading, and they also copy their Bible verse and memorize it if that's what you'd like to do. And they draw a picture and give a short description of what they've read for that day. Most of the Master Books workbooks also have another book that goes along with the curriculum. This 101 Favorite Stories from the Bible goes along with the third grade, and I believe it goes along with one of the other years too. And it's just a retelling of different stories from the Bible. So they are just assigned a page to read, and then they can either copy this picture if they want, or they can draw their own. I had one child that really liked to make detailed, colorful pictures, and I had another child that just wanted to do more of like a comic book style. So whatever works for your child. The point of this is to do something fun to help them remember the story. So if this is not fun, then think of other ways that they can remember the story, whether they're just telling it to you or rewriting the story in their own words. That's the beauty of homeschool, is you can tailor it to what your child needs and what your child enjoys. All right, and then day 5 or Friday is when they bring in the spelling practice. And this is one thing that I would consider maybe a con of this curriculum, is that There's nothing about the spelling at all throughout the week until we get to day 5, and then it says learn to spell these words. And you have an activity on the front and the back that has to do with those words. But throughout the week, you will need to provide activities for them to learn their spelling words. There in the back, there are ideas of spelling games to play. There's a page you can copy off where they can write their spelling words. So that is one thing that I didn't really enjoy about this curriculum, is that the spelling words kind of seem like an afterthought. They don't go with anything else, and they're just supposed to learn it. And if you are wanting this to be like an open and go type thing, which is what Master Books really advertises this to be, then you're still going to have to plan ahead. What spelling activities am I going to do to help them learn these words before we get to day 5? They are coming out with another book to go along with these books in elementary, and it's called Practice Makes Polished. And in that book, there are lots of spelling activities, reading activities that incorporate the spelling words. Grammar practice, and all of it incorporates the spelling words, which is really ideal. That's what I think it should be, because it's really important to me that they're not just memorizing how to spell these words, but they're actually using them in context so they know what they mean and how to use them in a sentence. So I really like that they're coming up with that. I wish they would have just revamped this curriculum and added it in instead of making you buy another book to go along with this book. But if you think about different popular Christian homeschool curriculums, it's really still not as many books as maybe BJU Press or Abeka. You have to buy a separate reading book and the reading worksheets. You have to buy the spelling book. You have to buy the grammar practice. And then you have to buy all of the answer keys, teacher manual, tests. All of those things are separate books. So I guess when you think of it that way, it's really not that bad to buy just one more book to go along with this. In the back of the book, there is an assessment chart, which I really like. I like going through the skills and saying, was this skill mastered or do they need more experience? Instead of giving letter grades, I really love this. Do they understand it or not? Do they need more practice? There's other resources here, ideas for spelling. There's a create your own dictionary where they write the letter, they write the word, draw a picture, give a definition. All right, so that could go along with the spelling practice, but you'll need to copy off more pages. There's all the spelling lists in one place, sight words, copy work, if you feel that that'd be helpful for your child to copy some of these grammar rules. Some pages that helps them remember different grammar and punctuation rules. And then the answer keys are in the back. I really like how these are hole punched, so if you want to just rip out the work for that week and put it in a child's notebook. I also like to rip out the answer keys and put them all together in one notebook, so I just have all the answer keys together when I'm going to look through their work. All right, so that is a sample of the elementary, and most of the books in the series in the elementary, they have the same pattern of what a week looks like. Most of them have some type of book or books that you need to go along with the reading portions. Then we have the language lessons for living education for high school. I really love how these are done because they incorporate the spelling and the vocab in the daily exercises, and they're more focused on understanding. Again, in the beginning, you have the scope and sequence. You have directions on how to teach the course. You have a place that you can record their grades or the completion and date of the different assignments. Let's take a look at what a weekly schedule may look like. On day 1, they have some kind of either scripture study, poem study, picture study, or a study from Pilgrim's Progress, which is the book that goes along with this curriculum. You could use your own copy of Pilgrim's Progress, but this one is special because it has words that they need to know, which these are their spelling and vocab words. They're already defined for them ahead of time so that while they're reading, they can look back and say, what does that word mean? Oh, okay. Also, it has their memory verse. There are places to take notes about what they've read, and this is Pilgrim's Progress. They have Bible references on the side to look up more in detail about the different topics in this chapter. And then there's also a place to make a summary of what they've learned at the end of that chapter. So I think that this is a really valuable resource to go along with the curriculum, more than just having your own copy of the Pilgrim's Progress. The first day they will do some sort of study, and then they have their vocabulary practice. They have some type of activity to use their vocabulary words. They have the memory verse that they can copy and learn. And they also have their reading assignment for the week. Day 2 is grammar and punctuation practice. Day 3 is communication. So we're talking about writing. They have different essays throughout the year to do, and that is usually over several week period as they start writing different parts of it until they get all the way to the final draft. And then day 4, they have the worldview and literary analysis. They are learning different ways to analyze literature and also helping to develop a worldview based on the Bible. And then day 5 is a review. I really love that they go back and review all the vocabulary. They review all of the grammar that they've learned that week. And they also review the basics of what they learned for communication and writing, worldview, and analysis of literature. And that's a typical week all throughout this curriculum. In the back, they have assessments, grading, and teaching resources. There's a reading list. There are extra activities if you feel that your child needs more writing activities. There's templates that they can do their essays in. Different ideas for spelling practice, and they have all the spelling words listed here. Spelling and grammar rules. These are all charts that they can look back to for reference if they forget a certain rule. Right, they also have rubrics to help you grade their different essays, which is really helpful. And then they have the answer keys. Again, I like to rip these out and put them all in one big binder, so I have all of the answer keys together. So to sum up, I would say that some of the great things about Masterbook's curriculum for language arts is that it's a biblical worldview. It is young earth based. There are a lot of resources from the Creation Museum used throughout their curriculum. It is mostly open and go, with the exception of some of the spelling. You might need to plan ahead to make sure that your child is able to practice all those spelling words until those practice makes polished books are available. It is a lot more affordable than other popular curriculum companies, whereas most of what you need is all in one book or maybe 2 books instead of having to buy lots of separate books. I know when I was first looking into homeschooling, one of the companies was going to cost $1,000 per child if I bought every single book that they recommended that my child needed. So I'd say that the cons of this would probably be that the spelling in the elementary is not mentioned at all through any of the other activities, or not taken from their reading or anything like that. So they're just memorizing rather than actually using these words and seeing them printed in context. Another thing is that, especially in the elementary, it seems like with the spelling words, the activities are really heavily based on dividing into syllables. And although that is helpful, I don't know that the amount of stress they put on dividing the words into syllables is really helpful. But overall, I've been really happy with the language arts curriculum for Masterbooks, and I hope that this is helpful to you to see if it would be a good fit for your child and your family.